Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tarda Zone. And this is the Tarda Zone Talks. And I would like to talk about all of this speculation in relation to David Tennant becoming the 16th Doctor, and why I think, number one, it's bullshit, but number two, why I think it would be the biggest mistake that BBC have made actually with the show. Let's get one thing straight. David Tennant is liked by the queer and trans fans. He is hated by the fans, and he's hated mostly by the British public. And the evidence to support that is the recent BAFTA Awards, which got the lowest ratings in years. And he's been host, I think, 2 years in a row, or he's been host in the last couple of years. So be under no illusion, all of this talk it's got to do with the fact that he recently did the 60th. Now, people will point out, and we all said this at the time, right, when they did this boy generation thing, right? Yeah, this is speculation. Some people are out there claiming that this was the plan all along. It wasn't the plan, right? David Tennant was never supposed to be a backup to Ncuti if Ncuti fell flat on his face. But by the way, Ncuti isn't the issue here. And I know people have some issues with Ncuti, but the big issue that we have with the show is actually RTD and not Ncuti Gatwa, right? So let's get that straight for starters, okay? So replacing Ncuti Gatwa with David Tennant and still having RTD there is not going to make a difference. Actually, it'd make it worse, in my opinion. Okay? So we're going to get into this, and I'm going to discuss this today and tell you why I think it's absolute nonsense and why BBC would be making the biggest mistake that they've ever made with the show. The first mistake was hiring Chris Chibnall and then letting him allow Jodie Whittaker to come in. And then they've made another mistake bringing RTD back, thinking that he would give them the Doctor Who that they wanted. And I've got to say this, it looks like both Disney and Doctor Who have been let down by RTD. There is talk to suggest that BBC are also not happy with the direction that Doctor Who has taken, and that, you know, the whole woke agenda, they wanted that to kind of be taken out of Doctor Who, and they wanted Doctor Who to go and start telling stories again. But when you've got someone like RTD, who is an activist writer, let's be honest, that's what he is. He's an activist. Well, then he's going to insert his own ideology into the show. Now, we always knew with this boy generation, because a lot of fans speculated at the time, right? So this is no new information, by the way. So again, as I said, people saying that this was always the plan. It wasn't always the plan. They did the boy generation. Yeah, okay, if RTD wasn't the issue, right, which he is, he's the issue here. Not Ncuti Gatwa, not anybody else. RTD and his writing team, right? If you still have them in place, bringing David Tennant back anyway is a waste of time, right? On top of that as well, though, David Tennant subscribes to what RTD subscribes to anyway, and they would continue to push an agenda. Okay, now if BBC want Doctor Who to be successful and actually do want it to survive, and all indicators is that BBC do want Doctor Who to be a success. This is why they seeked out the Disney deal in the first place. They wanted the show to go global, right? So, but it hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out. So, replacing Ncuti Gatwa, right? Because Ncuti, the rumour is Ncuti's trying to buy out his contract, but that rumour has been going on since last year. Obviously, The Sun has released the story now. Never everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, but this was something that was spoken about last year. People like me and other YouTube channels out there were already talking about this, about Ncuti not being happy. This is not new news, right? The Sun is as reliable as a used condom, right? You don't listen to The Sun, right? I've always told you, the Mirror, right? The Sun will get bits and pieces, don't get me wrong, but the majority of the time, the Sun is absolutely wrong, right? Now, BBC had to put out a statement, as you know, and the statement confirms what everything that I've said here, Dan and other people have said. No decision on Doctor Who's future will be made until series season 2 airs of Ncuti Gatwa's era. Simple as that, right? So everybody saying the show was cancelled, all of this. Well, look, the bottom line is this, and I've always said this as well. Doctor Who can survive, right? It'll be harder for BBC to do it if they couldn't get another distributor. Okay. Now, I heard someone, I obviously with all the Doctor Who news, all the Doctor Who videos are actually showing up on my feed now. Hasn't happened in years, but when there's big Doctor Who news, obviously something like that happens. And I came across a video of someone saying, you know, the whole thing deal with Sony and Bad Wolf, and they could have talks with Amazon Prime and all of this behind this. They couldn't make it official, but they could have all of these talks and all of this. Listen, BBC, as far as we're all aware, is actively looking for a distributor, right? Now, this person suggested that it's not actually BBC's decision to make on Doctor Who's future. It's Bad Wolf. I disagree with that. It's a BBC show. Bad Wolf was brought in. RTD came in to try and originally save the show, but it's still a BBC IP. So to suggest that it's actually up to Bad Wolf, I would say you're wrong. Maybe Bad Wolf could take it on themselves, if that's what you're suggesting, but I don't think Bad Wolf have the funds, because the funds would have to come directly from Sony, wouldn't they? Because they own the stake. They have the majority stake in Bad Wolf. But let's get back to Tennant, because this is important, right? But the media likes to report that it's fans that want David Tennant back, right? I can tell you now, as a Doctor Who fan, and many Doctor Who fans that I've spoken to, we don't want David Tennant anywhere near this show again. As far as we're concerned, he's burned the bridges with fans, right? He's attacked fans that don't subscribe to his ideology, just like RTD has, right? So to get rid of Ncuti Gatwa, even though Ncuti's not the problem here. And by the way, I know people have opinions on Ncuti and think that Ncuti's not a good doctor. That's irrelevant in the grand scheme of things when it comes to who the real issue is with this show. And the real issue with this show is actually RTD, Bad Wolf Studios, and all the writers that they've brought in, right? It's even being suggested that when Disney decided that they were going to get into bed with Doctor Who, they wanted Doctor Who. They didn't expect to get Doctor Queer, right? They wanted Doctor Who. They wanted a sci-fi show. And this is why now there are issues behind the scenes, because RTD did not deliver what he was supposed to deliver. They were expecting, they seen RTD's previous work on Doctor Who. That's what they were expecting, right? They weren't expecting the agenda-filled, the agenda-riddled stories that we got, right? And on top of that as well, he cast certain actors and actresses because of their gender identity, right? And he's done the same now with the writers for season 2, okay? He's brought in all of these writers, and they're all activists, every single one of them. They're all activists, and they all have their own agenda. We even heard from Juno Dawson themselves saying that their episode was the most ridiculous and the most expensive ever, right? The most expensive ever. The trans writer gets the most expensive episode in Doctor Who. And what is Juno Dawson's qualifications for Doctor Who? Well, they're almost limited, right? They done redacted, right? Okay, and they wrote sex books for kids. But apparently and because they're award winning, apparently RTD thinks that is the right qualification to be writing for Doctor Who. So the issue here is actually RTD. So bringing David Tennant in is not going to fix anything, right? It's not going to fix that. And if BBC and Disney did have the original plan, let's just say this is why they did the boy regeneration, because they were thinking, well, if it doesn't work out with Shoot, we could bring David Tennant back. Well, David Tennant since then has done a lot of things that have upset the British public and have upset actually Doctor Who fans. So if David Tennant had never opened his mouth and wasn't doing the stuff that he was doing, I'd be sitting here having a conversation saying, yeah, David Tennant is probably a shoe-in to try save the show, right? But I'd still be saying that RTD is the issue. But the fact of the matter is the man hasn't shut up the last couple of years, right? He hasn't shut up the last couple of years. He's attacked fans. He's attacked anybody that doesn't subscribe to his ideology, right? So there's no way, in personally speaking, if Disney stay on, right, RTD will have to go. RTD will have to go, right? And this is why I think they're looking around, because someone in the BBC doesn't want RTD to go, right? Because it'd be an easy decision for BBC to say, well, Bad Wolf, it hasn't worked out, fuck off. And then BBC then go and look for a distributor themselves, right? Okay? So, look, the issue here, right, is RTD. So bringing David Tennant back is papering over the cracks, right? He's still going to have an agenda-driven show, right? And David Tennant subscribes to that, so he'll be even more insufferable if he was the Doctor. He'd literally be looking at the camera lecturing us, man, like they've been doing for the last few years. He will actually break the fourth wall to have a go at the audience. That's how mental this fella is. Him and his mad wife. Now, I just want to make it clear, this is why I put it in the headline, the title of the video. This is my opinion, right? So I don't want to see anybody out there do a YouTube channel or do a YouTube video and accuse me of saying that, that David Tennant this or whatever crap you come up with. This is an opinion, right? And my opinion is that David Tennant is not the answer to save Doctor Who. To save Doctor Who right now, you need to get rid of RTD and everybody connected with the show that's ever had any connection with the show since it's come back, and get rid of them all. Done. Clean slate. And then go on hiatus. Don't cancel the show. Go on hiatus for 2-3 years, right? And then come back. Brand new Doctor, back to basics, and see where you go from there. Now, some people will argue that it needs a longer break. Look, I don't want to see Doctor Who go off air. I've never wanted to see Doctor Who go off air, right? All I've ever wanted is the show to be done properly, okay? But if they continue down this route, it will be cancelled, right? And this whole thing as well, I heard people saying, well, you still want Doctor Who to be cancelled because it never come back. Well, I'm sorry. I cannot accept that, right? So what you're basically saying is that we should just accept the quality that we're given because it means Doctor Who is still on the air, is still on air. No, the Doctor Who has to be up to a certain standard. It's not up to that standard. It shouldn't be shown on TV. Simple as that. And this is the whole point. Fans out there that have been chilling for RTD, David Tennant, and all these other people, you need to wise up now. This is your moment now to actually make a difference. This is your moment now to actually speak up, right? I'd be encouraging everybody to send emails to the BBC. And I'm going to start doing that. Like we did the last time, we got a statement out of them over the cancer scene. Remember, loads of air channels told everybody to email the BBC and they had to come out with a response. And I want you to do the same thing again this time. You need to let the BBC know, the head of drama, in an email that under no circumstances have they to rehire David Tennant, and they've got to sack RTD, get Bad Wolf out of there. I don't care if they lose money, right? I honestly don't care if Doctor Who doesn't have the budget that it has now, right? Get them out. He's the issue, right? He's the issue. RTD's the issue here. He's the biggest issue with the show. Not Ncuti Gatwa. Yes, Ncuti Gatwa is a product of RTD, right? But RTD is the issue here, right? He needs to go, and these activist writers need to go as well with him. And they need to fuck off and never be seen near Doctor Who again. I'm sick of all these fanboys now running this fucking show. You even see it with Big Finish now. And listen, I'll get criticised for this, but I don't give a shit. I don't like the idea of fans out there that have done content on YouTube and done their own Doctor Who stories now writing for Big Finish or writing for or doing bits with the show or whatever. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Right? That should be knocked on the head once and for all. Right? You should be getting in proper fucking writers with proper fucking experience. Right? Fans with their fan fucking fiction. I'm sick of it. Right? They need to all go. This show, look, I get it that Doctor Who has always tried to embrace the fans and stuff like that, and we are unique in that way, right? But I don't want any fans on any level writing for Doctor Who, whether it be for Big Finish, whether it be for comics, whether it be for the show. I don't want fans writing for the show anymore, right? We've had enough of that now, and for a while it worked, right? For a while it did work, right? We got RTD's first era, and we got Stephen Moffat. For a while it worked. Were they perfect? No, absolutely not, right? But it did work, right? It doesn't work anymore, right? Bringing fanboys in doesn't work anymore because they have their own ideas, they have their own agenda, right? They're not in to write the best version of the show. They're there to write whatever comes to their mind or whatever agenda they want to push. Now, there was an article released the other day by a so-called journalist from the Radio Times called Louise Griffin, who said that Doctor Who needed to be woke and fans needed to accept it. Well, the reason why the show is in the state that it's in, because it did actually embrace wokeness, right? And when it embraces wokeness, what happens is its character development becomes non-existent. A story and plot becomes non-existent. So I actually directly tagged that journalist and I said, listen, you have no authority to be talking on Doctor Who, especially when you're peddling that nonsense, right? You don't get to speak for fans, right? And I noticed, by the way, and a lot of you would probably have noticed as well, that since we've heard the stuff about Ncuti and the show being in disarray, we've had all of these flood of articles now coming out, well, defending the wokeness of the show. Well, Doctor Who needs to be woke now. And all of these other different articles that we've seen, you know, hyping up season 2 all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden now they're hyping up season 2 after all of the talk, and then we get these little articles from Radio Times saying, oh no, Doctor Who needs to embrace woke and all of this other nonsense, right? I see what's happening here. The same thing happened during the Jodie Whittaker era when fans denied that she was gone, right? They were coming out with all these positive articles. They were, oh, Jodie is staying, she's going to be here for ages and all this other bullshit. Right, I put up a little video last night and I just wanted to see the difference between the way RTD thinks and Terrence Dicks thinks, right? And it's night and day, right? And RTD was obviously talking about his Dot and Bubble or Bubble and Dot, whatever the fucking name of the stupid episode was. And he was talking about how the audience cop on that everybody in the episode is white, right? Because, you know, that's what RTD is all about, right? He wants you as a white person that's grown up watching Doctor Who to feel bad for being white, right? And I just want to say to you, fat fuck, I will never be ashamed to be white. And how fucking dare you? You're white yourself, you fucking plonk. Right? How dare you try to shame me because I don't subscribe to your fucking nonsense? Right? The bottom line is we don't subscribe to your delusions. Right? There's some of us out there, whether you like it or not, and this upsets people, I don't give a shit. There are two genders as far as I'm concerned, male and female. Everything after that is fucking delusion. And that's my opinion. And I should be vilified for it. If you believe that fairies fucking exist, well, fair fucking play, yeah. That's the world I lived in when I was growing up. Even if you didn't agree with someone, you don't try fucking cancel them. Classic Doctor Who has always had themes, right? Doctor Who has addressed certain issues. But the difference between the way Doctor Who did it back in the day and the way Doctor Who does it today, for all you wokey little nonsense fucking dickheads that don't actually get it, I'll explain it to you. See, when they did something like the greenhouse effect and gas or whatever, they showed all sides of the story. They showed all sides of the coin. When RTD does a story, he does it from a trans perspective, right? Okay? And he doesn't show the other side. He doesn't show why people in society have the issues. He won't actually discuss that or go into the nitty-gritty of it. So what he'll do instead is he'll get a bunch of white guys on bikes to slag off, for example, Rose Noble, as Rose Noble is walking by, just to show, oh, look, white people are bad against trans people. Right? Without actually, you know, those characters there, yeah, okay, they're slagging Rose Noble off, but why are they slagging Rose Noble off? Right? It's not because what RTD thinks because it's bigotry and all of this other shite that he likes about. Right? See, RTD doesn't have a balanced view. He has a skewed view one way. Right? And Doctor Who shouldn't be used to just push his way. With even Terrence Dicks, right? He mightn't agreed with something in the end, but he'd still show it. He'd still show because he'd cover all bases. He'd show why, you know, why the people that were for fossil fuels didn't want fossil fuels to go away, and they explained that, right? Just like they explained about different types of energy and all of this other stuff. That's how you do it, right? That's how you do a balanced fucking story. If you want to address something that's going on or has the world worried and you want to address it, that's how you address it. You show all sides of the coin. But RTD doesn't do that. And I'll say it again to fans, you need to call this man out. Because if you don't, Doctor Who will pay in the end, right? If RTD hadn't come back when he did, the show was ending with Jodie Whittaker. They've even admitted that the regeneration scene was going to fade to black, right? It was going to fade to black and he was gone. The show was shelved, right? It was gone. It'll happen. It will happen if fans don't demand that RTD and Bad Wolf are removed. I'm sorry, right? I know some of you like the higher budget. You like the fact that it's being given millions. I don't give a shit about that. Don't give a shit about the visuals. All I want is good stories and good character development like we've been used to. Or we were used to when we grew up watching the show. So this is why David Tennant coming back, right? And the media speculating on it is ridiculous to me, right? Bringing David Tennant back is not going to save the show. He's hated, and that's a fact. And I don't care what people say out there. You can deny it all you want. The British public fucking hate him. They tuned out of the BAFTAs. They don't even watch the BAFTAs anymore. He was hosting, right? He starts off by bashing Trump, like I said he would. People are out there, stop picking on David Tennant. No, I have every right to pick on David Tennant because he's a plonk, right? He's a dangerous man, and I'll say it. I'm not going to keep silent anymore. He's a dangerous man, and his ideology is dangerous. Therefore, his boss, or his old boss, RTD, is also a dangerous man. The only way this show is saved now is booting RTD out. You don't boot RTD out, forget about it. Forget about it. Doesn't matter what you do. If RTD is still in charge, you could bring fucking Pope John Paul II back from the dead and have him to play the Doctor, and it'll still fail. Right? You can go out there and get a top actor, right? Hugh Grant, right? Some other British fucking actor, top of their game. It's still going to flop because RTD is in charge. And as soon as people realise that the issue is actually RTD, right, then we're never going to fix this shit show. The bottom line is that when the wokey crowd say Doctor Who's always woke, they're right to a certain, they are right. It was woke, proper woke back in the day, right? This form of wokeness is not like it was back in the day, right? The gay balance view showed all sides of the coin. In today's wokeness, it's like if the writer or the showrunner is left-minded, well, then you get all left-minded crap coming out of the fucking show, right? You don't get a balanced fucking view. He alienates fucking most of his fucking audience, right? It's even so bad they didn't even make the streaming Nielsen, wherever you call it, Nielsen's streaming list. Didn't even make that. Disney, here's another thing as well, right, which proves that Doctor Who is a flop, which proves it's a flop. And for anybody out there saying it's a success, I could actually prove it, right? And you could check this out yourselves. Any hit that Disney have had, they have bragged about the ratings and they've shown how well the show is done, right? Doctor Who is supposed to be brilliant and done well. Well, then why isn't he shouting it through the rooftops like they done with The Mandalorian and other shows that were successful for Disney? Because the bottom line is it wasn't, right? No matter what they said about age demographic watching the show and how much they tried to spin it when they were saying it was a success, the bottom line is Doctor Who was not a success, right? And then if you look at the TV ratings themselves, right, they've dropped even further, and so has the AI. So nobody is telling the truth when they say this show is successful. It's not successful, right? And until he's actually, you know, the fans out there that still believe that this show, unless you open his eyes and actually accept the fact that it's not being done the right way, we're never going to get changes with Doctor Who. We're never going to get it done right. It's as simple as that, right? So ratings weren't good for the 60th. Yeah, Super John brings it up. The ratings weren't good for the 60th. That was the 60th anniversary, man. Right? The writing was already on the wall for RTD with that 60th when it wasn't a 60th. It was a David Tennant wank fest. Right? Okay? It was the biggest misstep that they've made. They handled the 50th well and they did it right. BBC, Stephen Moffat, everybody that was behind the 50th did it absolutely perfectly and showed that Doctor Who can be global, right? And look, 10 years later, and look where we are. From that, right, to the height that we had, right, to where we are now. Don't fucking tell me that this show is doing great and the ratings are great and TV habits have changed and all of this other bullshit, because it's been proved time and time again. When BBC actually do have a hit show, right, it gets 9-10 million fucking views, right? Okay? So the fact of the matter is Doctor Who is not being written properly. If Doctor Who was written properly, I can guarantee you it'd be doing well. Would it get the ratings that the Whittaker episode got, the woman who fell to earth, the 13 million? Probably not. But as I said, for me on TV, Doctor Who ratings-wise, I would consider it getting between 8 and 9 million consistently over a run as a success in the modern era of TV. 8 or 9 million. And I don't think that is actually, hard to actually get 8 or 9 million people to tune in and watch Doctor Who if it's written properly. There's still a lot of fans out there, even the ones that say that they're done with the show, always talk about the show, right? All they're waiting on is for someone to come in and take care of the show and actually do right by the show and start writing good stories again with character development. I can guarantee you'll start winning people back, right? But in 10 years, we've gone from where we were at the height that we were, proud to be Doctor Who fans, and now look at the show. It's a mess. And you all need to face up to the reality of the situation. You people out there still hoping that RTD will do right by the show. He's not going to do right by the show, right? He's not, okay? And you need to start calling him out. And just because you call him out doesn't mean that you don't love Doctor Who. Right, he's calling out a writer who's ruining the show with his activism, and he's have every right to speak up. He's have every right to speak up and express his feelings on it. And when some fans have done that, RTD has told them to fuck off. Right, so that's who you're dealing with. He needs to go. End of story. And fans need to band together now to push this man out the door. He needs to be pushed out the door. And I don't care if people out there accuse me of going after RTD and trying to cancel him and all of this. I'm not trying to cancel RTD. I just want them fucking gone out of Doctor Who, and I don't care what he does after that, right? I don't care if he goes on to be the most successful writer in history after that. I want him away from Doctor Who. Simple as that, right? So that's the difference between me and other people out there, right? I can actually, detach myself and actually go after the person who's fucking responsible for the downfall of this fucking show, right? And that's RTD, and you all need to start calling them out now once and for all. And Stephen Moffat is not the answer either, by the way. So I don't want any fucking dickhead fan out there saying, all right, we get rid of RTD, we bring back Stephen Moffat. No more fanboys writing for Doctor Who. I want a proper sci-fi writer that's never had any connection to Doctor Who before come in and write for Doctor Who now. Simple as that. Get a team of writers around them that never worked for Doctor Who. If you want to get some of the old classic people that are still alive today to help these people along, then fine, do that. I would have no issue with that. But don't be getting RTD, Stephen Moffat, or any of their crew anywhere near this show again. And another thing that's problematic about David Tennant is the fact his support of Neil Gaiman. And Neil Gaiman has been accused of some of the vilest stuff you've ever fucking heard. Okay? And this is another reason why David Tennant would be a bad choice. There's just too much around David Tennant right now, too much negativity, in my opinion, right? With his own personal opinions and the fact that he backs people like Neil Gaiman, right? And I think he's even working on a Neil Gaiman show and has worked with Neil Gaiman on shows. So I don't want him back. David Tennant, in my opinion, coming back for the 60th, ruined his legacy, right? Up until then, David Tennant was still loved by fans, even though he was coming out with nonsense. He was still loved because the bottom line is he wasn't anywhere near Doctor Who, so fans didn't really give a fucking shit. But then RTD brought him back, and then it became a different story. And then he came out with, and you see me thumbnail where he wore that jacket, the little pin, "You're safe with me," bollocks, and all of this other rubbish, right? So, David Tennant is a no-no for me. Now, if they bring him back, it's the final nail's already been driven into the coffin. But if they bring David Tennant back, right, and they do this, right, well then the backlash, and I'm telling you, there will be a backlash. The backlash will be bigger than the backlash when fucking Jinx Monsoon was brought into the show. It'll be bigger than the backlash of Juno Dawson. I'm telling you now, it's not. Bringing David Tennant back, in my opinion, would be the worst thing they could do. And if anybody from the BBC is listening, which I doubt, but if anybody is from the BBC listening, my advice to you guys is this, right? Start listening to fans. I'm not saying that you should do everything that fans tell you to do, but fans have been screaming out the last couple of years, and I've told you the glaring issues with the show. And you need to start taking those issues seriously now, and you need to start taking fans seriously. The bottom line is, you want to make money. We want a successful show, right? So we've got a mutual thing going there where we will both benefit, right? So why not start listening to fans, right? And I'm not talking about the ones that you've employed that are licking these arses to get all the free stuff and the merch and get to work on Doctor Who in different capacities. I'm not talking about those fans. I'm talking about fans like me and others out there that have been talking about how bad this show has been run the last few years, right? They're the fans you need to be listening to, not these gobshites that are willing to kiss his arses, okay? The bottom line is, right, you just want to make money, we want a successful show, so come and talk to us because it's beneficial, right? Simple as that. It's not even that fucking hard to fix. And that's the thing. I know damage has been done. There is a lot of damage. And to some fans out there, this isn't an easy fix, right? But to me, it is an easy fix, right? Yes, it will take them a while to win fans back over. Of course it will. But if they started to do Doctor Who properly, right, and started producing really good, interesting stories with great character development, right, and they got the right actor to play the Doctor, right, all of that combined, and then when fans do start watching, some fans start watching word of mouth, they'll start doing their streams, people will then start getting curious again and saying, oh, they're actually saying something positive about Doctor Who. Maybe I will check it out. And then what will happen is like what happened in 2005. Everybody turned on a few minutes of that first episode or whatever episode it was, and they got hooked. And they got hooked. And you can do it all over again. But you'll have a lot. But listen, be under no delusions here, though. BBC have a lot of arse licking to do with Doctor Who fans, if I'm quite honest with you. Right? But it's not impossible like some people are making it out to be out there to save this show. You can. You can. The Doctor, see, the best thing, we have an advantage. The Doctor can regenerate. Okay? No other show has that ability to keep changing the lead actor. Right? Okay? We could do, Doctor, this is why Doctor Who can be saved. Right? It can be. If done properly, right? And wherever the starting point is, see, I wouldn't even reference what's came the last few years. I just ignore it and just not even like a soft reboot, but just reintroduce a new Doctor, right? And do just a story. Forget about trying to fucking, you know, do throwbacks to previous eras. Just ignore it, right? And just move forward. Do your first story, see how it goes. Right? Look at Rose, right? You look at Rose today. Is it the greatest Doctor Who episode? No, it's not. A lot of people will say, well, it's one of the greatest companion episodes and all of this. I have to disagree with that as well. I mean, it's a decent story, right? But the end of the world was much better. The second episode was much better than the first episode. But the first episode did enough, right? It did enough to get you wanting to watch more. And that's what was very good at doing. And that's all that needs to happen this time round, right? You just need to write a story that's going to get people curious and interested, right? And it's a pity because the Beep the Meep episode, right, the Star Beast, right, if it wasn't under RTD and it was actually written properly, the Star Beast, in my opinion, would have been a great introductory episode to start off a new era of Doctor Who, right? There's interest in it. If you wanted to do something different like they tried to do, I would have brought the Star Beast stories, the first story, the new era with a new Doctor. And to me, now, not the way RTD wrote it, I don't want you thinking that I wanted that version, right? But I wanted the Star Beast written by a sci-fi writer who would have done it justice, right? And if you had that as the first episode of your new era of Doctor Who, because remember, it's part of the 60th. It's not really a new era, it's part of the 60th. But if that had been the first episode, and I'm not saying the way the story went with the trans characters and all this other bullshit and Donna Noble and all that, get them all out of it and just do a Star Beast episode where Beep the Meep or something escapes to the fucking Earth. The Wraith Warriors then start looking for him, and then the new Doctor then is in the middle of it all. He has to fucking try figure it. That's the way it should have been done. Beep the Meep could have relaunched Doctor Who again. I agree. We could look at Doctor Who fans were looking for new stories, interesting stories. There's a lot of things. There was a comics done years ago. You could have branched into that. I wouldn't have minded that shit, to be quite honest with you, if it was done fucking properly. And another thing as well, I don't mind the cliffhangers. I don't mind some people saying to get rid of two-parters and all that. I like two-parters, right? But I want proper fucking cliffhangers, right? I want proper cliffhangers like we used to get back in the day. I remember seeing articles, we need to get rid of cliffhangers. Well, then you don't understand Doctor Who. Cliffhangers might be an old thing to you or be stale to you. But for Doctor Who fans that have grown up with the show, the cliffhanger is one of the most important things of the fucking show. It's what kept us on the edge of our fucking seats, dying to tune in the next time to see what happened. Do you know what? That's why I like that Weeping Angel part, the two-parter, was Flesh and Stone, and well, that's the second episode. What was the first episode called again? I keep fucking forgetting the name of the first fucking episode. But that two-parter, at the end of the first part, you remember he grabs the gun, and he points the gun, and he fires the gun, and it leaves on a cliffhanger. We're like, what the fuck? The Doctor just shot a gun. Like, Time of the Angels and Flesh and Stone, that's the one. But that cliffhanger, man, was deadly. And then you had your individual stories like Midnight. Fucking deadly episode, in my opinion. I know the Doctor's wife gets a bit of stick, but I liked when the TARDIS house takes over the TARDIS and Amy and Rory are in it. I think that's actually pretty fucking scary. I like the God Complex. I like the one where they're in the doll's house, or the house with the creepy dolls. That's a deadly episode. The kid is an alien, do you remember? Like they're, you know what I mean? They've done some great individual stories as well. That I'm just trying to point out that we have been, look, people, no matter how much people give out about the New Who era, and a lot of people I've noticed have started to criticise because RTD is back, so they're criticising his old era. I'm not going to criticise his old era because I liked his old era. And I'm not going to suddenly change my opinion because he's ruined the show now because of his woke ideology. Listen, I always knew RTD was an activist. He was an activist back in 2005. The difference was BBC put the fucking reins on him, right? And he wasn't able to do all the things that he wanted to fucking do. He was reined back in, right? And also, Moffat gets a lot of credit as well because he wrote some great episodes in the RTD era. Right? But I'm not going to slag these eras off now all of a sudden because I think RTD is fucked up, right? And I hate that because people are letting what RTD and Chips have done ruin their enjoyment for the New Who era. I don't let that happen anymore. I used to. You all know that. I said I wasn't ever going to watch New Who again. I'm sorry, but I can't do that to myself. I love RTD's first era. And I don't care if there was a bit of wokeness in it. The bottom line is he was fucking reined in. It didn't ruin the fucking stories that were being told. And the same with Stephen Moffat. Yeah, he is inconsistent, but he's wrote some of the best Doctor Who episodes that we've had since the classic era, and nobody can deny that either. So I'm not just going to dismiss those two eras now because the two lads are back and they can't write for shit now. See, the bottom line is that when RTD left and when Stephen Moffat left, they both said that they had run out of steam, right? They both said that they needed to go. They should have stayed away. They should have stayed away. Looking at the writing now, even Stephen Moffat, like, you look at his episodes that he's written, they're stale. They're stale. Even the Christmas special, apparently, it got chopped and changed so much that it's not what Stephen Moffat actually wanted. And Disney do have input, by the way, because it was confirmed. So Disney did have some input. And we all know too well that they did anyway, because in the first episode of Ncuti's era, RTD wasn't going to introduce Ncuti's Doctor straight away the way he did. He wanted to wait to reveal Ncuti's Doctor, but on the insistence of Disney, they wanted the Doctor to be introduced sooner. So, there has been Disney interference as well, right? But the bottom line is, look, Disney kind of have fucked it up for themselves as well, because when you were making this deal with BBC, Bad Wolf, or whoever they made the deal with, they should have specified that they actually wanted Doctor Who, and they didn't want an agenda-filled piece of shit, because they do that with their own shows. This is why they're buying other shows, or this is why they were trying to distribute other shows, because it wasn't their stuff, right? All of their stuff is wokey bollocks. That's why Disney is struggling. And it looks like the new Captain America movie is going to be another flop, right? Snow White is coming out next month. That's going to flop monumentally, right? So with those two flops, right, and the other, as I said, they will flop. There's, be under no illusion, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the live action version, is going to flop, and it's going to flop hard, right? So they'll have another flop on their hands, Disney. This is why Disney are actually waiting to make decisions, right? Now, if Doctor Who was done properly, they wouldn't be worried about Doctor Who. They would have already announced that it was getting a third season because it was successful, right? They would have took the gamble, because they say, well, Doctor Who's doing well, in the ratings, fans are tuning in, blah, 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 right? And they would take that gamble. But the thing about it is, they've already had the Captain America movie's being knocked off the #1 spot. It didn't last very long at #1. They were all bragging about how the movie was it was #1 for about a day, and then it was knocked off. It's the lowest rated Marvel movie or something in the franchise, right? So that's a flop. It's done. The lead actor opened his mouth. It's gone. Done. Right? We've already got the bullshit from Rachel Ziegler. Right? I know Disney have tried to, get her to shut her mouth and stuff. Right? But the damage is done. So when Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs comes out, 7 CGI dwarfs, because remember, they did actually have, 7 little people play the roles, but, because of, what's his face? What's the actor's name again? He was in Game of Thrones, the small fella. What's his name? I forget his name. Well, that gobshite spoke up and he ruined it for all little actors out there, because now they can't get a job because of that gobshite who opened his mouth. Because he's getting a bit jealous that other little people were actually getting work because he wanted to be the main little man. Right? So they got rid of them. They sacked them all. Right? And then they replaced them with a lot of diversity, DEI hires, and then that went all bullshit. So now they've decided now that they're all going to be CGI. Yeah, Peter Dinklage. Yeah, now they're all going to be CGI thanks to Peter Dinklage, because he was jealous. because he wants to be the main little man in Hollywood. Well, just to let you know, and I'll tell you out straight, there's only one actor to me that is the king of the little actors, and that's fucking Warwick Davis. You don't even come close to him. Warwick is a fucking legend. Imagine that, though. Imagine being that jealous that you ruin it for other people of your size in the industry. And Peter, that's why I turned off Peter Dinklage. I won't watch any of his stuff now. I don't like people like that. You don't ruin it for other people. And you know, this is the same Hollywood that'll tell you that we need to be given opportunities to different sorts of people. But then when it comes to the crunch, all it takes is someone with to open their mouth, and then it ruins it for everybody. I think we've all grown up with Warwick Davis, haven't we? Warwick's a legend. Of course he is. We've all grown up with Warwick, whether it was Willow or whether you watched him in the Ricky Gervais show or whatever you watched Warwick Davis in, right? You knew you were always going to enjoy it. Absolute legend. But that movie is going to flop, Snow White. So they'll have two flops on their hands. Doctor Who is coming out, season 2. That's going to flop as well. I'd be under no illusion it is going to flop because it was filmed at the same time as season 1. So he's brought in all these activist writers, so it's going to flop. Right, so that will flop. And then you'll have the Sea Devil spin-off. And if there's any indicators coming from that, that's also going to flop. That's not going to do well. Now, if it does do well, though, say it does actually turn out to be a good show, and it does better and gets higher ratings than Doctor Who, there's no way Disney are going to actually give money and say, yeah, let's do more Doctor Who, if the spin-off is getting more ratings than the actual main fucking show that's the foundation for the whole universe. I knew this universe shite was the wrong thing to do. I know we've got Torchwood, we've got Sarah Jane Adventures, and we've got Class, right? Now, people can say what they want about those, but that was the universe that we got, right? And they should have expanded on that. In my opinion, they should have done Torchwood again. And then do Class properly. Now, I'm not as critical as Class as most people are out there. There was some aspects of that show that I actually did like, and there were some episodes that I actually did really enjoy in that. But I can get why people were screaming and shouting because there was a lot of wokey in it. But the bottom line is, as I said, there were some aspects of that show that I did love, and the cliffhanger at the end of that season is absolutely fucking amazing. And I said it's probably one of the best cliffhangers in the whole entire universe, because fucking hell, I wasn't... listen, it builds up and builds up and builds up. If you can get through the episodes, it builds up and builds up to this big thing, right? Okay, they start planting the seeds all the way through each episode, right? And they lay the foundation. But when you think it's going to be something else, it ends up being something else. And when I saw that reveal at the end, and I won't tell you just in case anybody still hasn't watched Class, I was like, oh my fucking God. I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. So you already have a ready-made universe there. Now, obviously, Sarah Jane Adventures would be a little bit more difficult to do, but I would make the suggestion, and I'm just going to make the suggestion, you could write it some way that Sarah Jane is not around anymore, but her long-lost daughter or something takes up the mantle. She has, obviously, her real daughter has played Sarah Jane, but get Elizabeth Sladen's daughter to take the mantle of the Sarah Jane Adventures and just call it something, a continuation, whatever. But you could continue it that way and have your K9 and all different characters. You could do it. It could work. right? So then you'd have a show for the kids, you'd have a show for the family, right? And then Torchwood for the adults, right? They got it right back then. Sophie is saying, damn, you're all getting pressed about lesbians existing. Huh? No. There has been plenty of LGBT representation in Doctor Who, and we've never had an issue with it. Captain Jack, for example, Jenny and Vastra, we've had characters. See, the thing about it is that, like, those guys weren't singing and dancing about their sexuality or trying to force it down people's throats. They were actually interesting characters that were given character development, and they weren't defined by who they were fucking. See, that's the difference. They're not defined by who they were fucking, right? They were defined by their actions and the things that they did and done in the stories, right? Nobody gives a shit that Captain Jack was gay, right? Captain Jack was a great character. Jenny and Vastra, there's a lot of fans out there that love Jenny and Vastra. I love Jenny myself. Vastra, I do like her, but she grinds me up sometimes. But be under no illusion, nobody has a problem with LGB. Right? That bullshit argument was used by the Whittaker fans years ago. That argument doesn't fly anymore. Right? The bottom line is we've had representation in Doctor Who, but in the past it was done properly. Now they're just brought in to be a walking agenda piece, an agenda character. They've got some fucking ideology or some nonsense to spell out about how they're oppressed and all of this. Nobody's oppressed, by the way. You aren't oppressed, right? The issue that people have is with the TQ, right? And if you don't understand why, I'm not going to sit here and explain it. It's already been explained, right? But I hate when someone comes in here and tries to make out that I'm homophobic or lesbian phobic or whatever you want to fucking call it, right? We have no problem with characters that are gay or characters that are lesbian, right? But if you're going to bring them in and just bang on about they're gay and lesbian and not actually give them character development and give them some meat on the bones, then yes, fans are going to complain, because then fans see right through that and see, well, the only reason why you're bringing this person in is because they're gay, lesbian, or bisexual. You're not bringing them in because you want to give them character development and give them good storylines. There's a huge difference. If someone brought it up there, it's forced. That's the big issue, right? Nothing needs to be forced. We know gay, lesbian, and bisexual people exist. Jesus Christ, look at the ancient Greeks and the Romans, for fuck's sake. You all need to stop with these lines. They don't work anymore. As I said, the fandom is not going to listen to that bullshit anymore, because the bottom line is that Doctor Who fans, never even had a problem with Bill Potts. Bill Potts was a lesbian, yeah. People were complaining because Bill Potts had to tell us every 5 minutes that she was lesbian, but she didn't, because Bill Potts was an interesting character. The one thing I will say about Moffat there was, yeah, even though every 2 minutes she would say she was lesbian, he actually made her an interesting character. He gave her character development. She had a backstory. She had a proper backstory, right? And she did her bit. And she was actually a very good companion, in fairness. I was actually gutted when Eccleston, when Capaldi left, because I thought, okay, they got rid of Capaldi, but keep Bill Potts. I wanted them to kill. I know some people disagree with me, and that's fine. You could disagree. That's why that's why I love this fandom. We're not all going to agree, right? But Bill Potts, I wanted to be given another chance. I wanted her to go out with a new doctor. Now, this is before we actually all found out it was going to be Jodie Whittaker. But here's the thing, Chris Chibnall spent the whole time trying to ship Jodie's doctor and Yaz, even though Yaz originally fancied Tolson Cole's character. See that? I can't even... Ryan. What was his name? Ryan. Was it Ryan? Yeah. See, I don't even remember the character. That's how unforgettable these last few eras of Doctor Who have been. They're unforgettable. Right? But originally, Yaz fancied Ryan. And there was going to be a storyline between those two. But then all the little LGBTQ plus fans were shipping the two characters. And someone said it to Mandip Gill at a convention. Then she told Jodie Whittaker. Then she told Chris Chibnall. And then the actual producer of the show came out with an article and says, yeah, we're going to capitalize on this. We're going to use this. That's what he said. And that's why fans have an issue, right? He uses these LGBTQ plus characters to push something rather than give them interesting stories and character development like we're all used to with the, as I said, Captain Jack is probably, in my opinion, the most developed LGB character that we have in Doctor Who. Because not only did he feature on Doctor Who, he also had his own show, Torchwood, where they explored more of his life. So you will never hear Doctor Who fans really complain about Captain Jack being gay or Jenny and Vastra for being lesbians, because the characters were more than just being gay, lesbian, or bisexual, right? They were more than that. They weren't defined by that. But in 2025 era of Doctor Who, right, or this current era of Doctor Who, just like with Chris Chibnall's era, you're defined by those things, right? And nobody should be defined over either their sexuality or their sexual preference, right? So fans have a problem with that, right? If you have a problem with that, fans out there have a problem with that, well, then that's on you, right? Your brain is wired wrong, okay? Because the rest of us that are Doctor Who fans actually want a bit of meat on the bone. You know, we want character development. We want the characters to be interesting, not defined by a certain thing. And that doesn't make me phobic in any way, shape, or form. Right? Captain Jack, I've often mentioned Captain Jack on this channel. People are sick and tired of me mentioning Captain Jack. I've openly admitted that Captain Jack is one of my favourite characters ever from Doctor Who. I love Captain Jack. Right? I love the character. I even love Torchwood. I didn't like the last season, but I like the first 3 seasons of Torchwood, right? There's some people out there that didn't like the first and second season, but they like Children of the Earth, right? I like them all, except, as I said, the fourth season. Fourth season had some good moments in it, but it's the worst one, right? But again, Captain Jack got development in that. That's when we found out more about his brother and all the other shit that was going on, right? So that narrative that we have a problem, we don't. So I hope that's answered your stupidity, because that's the way I see it. People that come in and make comments like that are stupid, and they actually don't have the first clue of what they're actually saying. The bottom line is this, as I said, I don't care if you're straight, gay, lesbian, whatever, right? If you bring in an actor or actress, right, and you make that character or whatever, right, you give them character development and you give them an interesting fucking backstory. If not, then you're wasting everybody's fucking time and people will see right through your bullshit. Simple as that, right? Miracle Day was shy. Miracle Day had potential, but when they start getting into the whole, that character being what he was. I have to be careful because we're on YouTube. That was a big turn off for me, and the fact then that that character survived. And I get what he was trying to do with the. I get what he was trying to do, right? I get it. Like, this man was immoral, and then this happened. Miracle Day happened, and then like people start changing their opinion on him, and then the immoral man became moral, and all of this, and people looked up to him. I know what they were trying to do, but it was sick, in my opinion, right? And was an RTD responsible for that series? So that was proof there, right there and then, that season, that he was not good enough to come back to Doctor Who. Yeah, the ending of Miracle Day is fucking stupid. No, it's stupid. It's not weird, man. It's just fucking stupid. I mean, Rex. I mean, that whole thing with Rex. What was he thinking? I just don't know what they were thinking, man. When they did Miracle Day, it was like, let's go to America. Let's make it big. Let's get Bill Pullman in, great actor, and then they just write this weird fucking story for him. If you really had problems with it all, you would never have bought the DVDs. Exactly. I have all of the box sets there, right, of New Who, except obviously the Whittaker era and this current era, because I wouldn't buy them, but I have up until the end of Peter Capaldi, right? And you're right. If I had a problem with LGB, I wouldn't be buying DVDs or Blu-rays, right? Why would I bother? Right? But the fact of the matter is, this narrative, because this is a narrative that the J-bots or these wokey fans like to throw at me every time I open my mouth, is that I'm phobic and I'm all of this, that, and the other. I'm far fucking from it. Actually, I would say I've been probably the strongest advocate for LGBT people in this fandom, and for them to be treated with more fucking respect if you're going to introduce characters of that ilk into the show. Well, you give them character development and you do right by them, right? And that's why I've spoke up, because they haven't done right by them in these previous two eras. And I'd be wrong. If I stayed silent while all this is happening, right? I know all of you guys, wokey guys, you will accept whatever they do for you, because the way you look at it is, it doesn't matter if it's done poorly. It doesn't matter that if these characters don't have character development, he put them in the show, so that's good enough for us. That's the way you think. For me, if you're going to make a big deal about a character's sexuality, well, then you better give them fucking decent character development and give them something fucking, as I said, meat on the fucking bones, because fans will tune out like that because they'll see right through it. And that's what's happened here. So as I said earlier on, if fans want Doctor Who, right, to be the best version that it can be, well, then you have to call for RTD sacking. It's as simple as that. He's the issue with this show. The fact that Ncuti wants to go, if it's true, Ncuti wants to go, that tells you everything that you need to, even if you don't agree that Ncuti should be the Doctor, right? The fact of the matter is, if Ncuti goes, we're still going to have the issue with RTD if he sticks around. For this show to continue and to have a future, BBC have to cut all ties with Bad Wolf, Disney, and RTD. Simple as that. Look at, fuck finding another distributor, right? Go back to the days of the small budget, right, and bring in the best writers that you can. You know what you do? You spend your money on bringing in the best sci-fi writers for Doctor Who, rather than spend all on the visuals and all of this. Listen, we're used to shows with shaky sets and stuff, right? For us, Doctor Who stood out because it was about the character development and the stories. That's what made Doctor Who successful. And it's gone away from that. As the years have went on and the budgets have gone up, have you noticed the quality of the writing has dipped? It's a fact. It's a fact, right? Chib's got the biggest budget. The previous two didn't even get that combined. He got the biggest budget. He even bragged about it, right? Even now, they have an even bigger budget now. RTD has the biggest budget that he ever had, right? And the show is poor quality, right? So I think, in fairness to me, personally speaking, the money is what's ruined Doctor Who, right? I don't care if Doctor Who looks pretty. I don't give a shit. You look at Rose now, it looks ridiculous. But you know what has a charm about it? It reminds me of classic Who because it's aged badly. But the storytelling, but the writing, right? That's still good. I haven't changed my opinion on it when I first saw the show again and got addicted to it, got hooked, couldn't wait until the next week came. And then as soon as the box set was available, right, I have the original TARDIS box set, right, the one that did the square one, not the flat one that you all got, but I got the square one. 120 quid it was at the time. And I still have that to that day, right? It's a bit wear and tear on it now because obviously it's a long time. But I still have it. I still have me TARDIS. I've showed it on the channel a few times as well. Still have it. Season 1, I have a Christopher Eccleston. You know, I'll always go back and watch his first season. And his only season. I'd bring him. But here, actually, you want to go with a previous Doctor? Remember what Christopher Eccleston said to fans at a convention? They asked him, the person that was interviewing him asked him, what would it take to get you back to Doctor Who and on television? And do you know what he said? He said, sack RTD, sack Jane and all the other heads, and then I'll come back. He's telling you all what the issues are. And nobody is listening to Christopher Eccleston. And by the way, before anybody has a go, because I know you all like to lick David Tennant's ass, right? Without Christopher Eccleston, you wouldn't have got David Tennant. Because if Christopher Eccleston wasn't successful with his Doctor, we wouldn't have got a second season. But he was successful. He was hugely fucking successful. And I couldn't understand at the time why he left. I didn't know all the shit that was going on. And for years I resented Christopher Eccleston for leaving. He was I swear to God, before Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, right? Christopher Eccleston was up there as my favourite Doctor. I just loved the way he played it. I loved the take that he had. I loved the fact that he didn't have a traditional costume. He wanted to do it his way. And for me, his Doctor worked. But now I understand all he went through. Now I understand that there was politics behind the scenes. I understand that was unbearable for him. He was being attacked even while his marriage was collapsing and all of this stuff was going on behind the scenes. And remember, Billie Piper too was going through a lot as well because her marriage broke down to Chris Evans. Her marriage broke down as well. And that's why Christopher Eccleston has made it clear that these Big Finish audios, his companion is Rose, and that's it. He won't work with anybody. That's his companion. And I agree with him. Even though she spent more time with David Tennant, she has, and I've noticed this as well, she seems to have more affection for Christopher Eccleston than she does for David Tennant now. I've noticed that. And when he was speaking about the problems, she was nodding her head in agreement with him. So she knows what went on behind the scenes. But we didn't. And I feel bad because for years I cursed that man. I was angry with that man because his Doctor truly did impact me. I'm not going to lie. In a positive way. So if any Doctor deserves to come back, there's only two anyway for me that if you're going to bring them back, because Matt Smith has, while I like Matt Smith, I think it's too early Well, it's not too early, but I don't want to see Matt Smith's doing other stuff right now, and I want him to do all that other stuff because Matt Smith is doing interesting shows now, and I want him to keep doing that. But if you wanted to bring two doctors back, I'd bring either Christopher Eccleston. He'd be nailed on me first choice. But if you couldn't get him to come back, bring back Peter Capaldi if he was willing. But there's parallels between him and Eccleston because the both of them were treated diabolically at the end. And, you know, Peter, assuming that he was going to be working with Chris Chibnall, 3 weeks later, he's on national radio crying like a baby, saying that he's leaving Doctor Who. He never wanted to leave. And anybody that's saying that because all the ages should start coming out, well, he couldn't keep up all the running because of his age and all of this bullshit was a lie. It was a lie. They got rid of him to replace him with a woman. And look how that went. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I've noticed the StreamYard logo is back up on my YouTube channel, which means now I've only got 5 hours a week now to stream. I think, no, it's a 5 hours a month. I don't know how it works now because it's been ages. I think it's 5 hours a month. So I'm down to 5 hours now. So I'm going to be doing a lot of videos and stuff on my phone. And live streams, you'll still get your live streams, but they won't be as often now. As I said, you knew this was coming anyway. I got that little extension off them where they gave me an extra 2 weeks, but that's gone now. So I'm going to have the time because remember, I run 3 channels now. So I've got to spread it out amongst the 3 channels. I was only originally supposed to go for a half an hour, but we've already gone over that. So I've already killed that now. So which means there's less time doing a live stream on here. I'm not saying live streams are gone. It's just going to be, you know, they won't be as frequent as they have been over the last couple of weeks. And the next live stream is definitely going to have to be the Christmas special. I've got to get that done now and get it out of the way. So the next live stream that comes along will be Joy to the World. And come and watch me reaction to that. I haven't watched it. I couldn't watch it. See, this is how I know that this show is shit. I used to be, even the Moffat Christmas specials, which I will say I prefer RTDs over Moffats. I've always said that anyway. Moffat has written some good Christmas specials that I like, I'm not going to lie. But, you know, I always tune in to watch them. This is the first time that a Christmas special has dropped where I haven't had the desire to tune in and watch it because I know what's coming, right? I know what's coming because we've already got the 4 seasons, so the Christmas special will be no different. So the next one will be the Christmas special, so look out for that live stream. In the meantime, I'll be still putting up my music videos. I'll be still doing little articles or giving me opinion on stuff that has popped up in the news. So there'll still be plenty of content going forward. As I said, we'll just have to be a little bit more sparingly with the live streams. So I'll leave it there for now, guys. And I see that there has been some new faces in the chat. I don't know where you have come from, but it's nice to see us. If you could do me a favor now, and if you have liked what I've said here today, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the like button. But for all you new people that have turned up, I just want you to understand that when you come to this channel, you know, I speak my mind. And sometimes you may agree with me, and other times you may strongly disagree with me. But the bottom line is that I'm not going to change my opinions for anybody, and I'll always give you what I believe. And that's the bottom line. I have to stay true to myself. So I can be very outspoken. You have probably heard some of you have probably heard some bad things about me and all of this. Listen, ignore all of that, right? All I've ever been is outspoken and willing to speak my mind and tell fans what I actually think. That has upset a few people out there in the fandom, and people connected to the BBC. I've had few people from the BBC and all block me over the years. So don't, you know, if you're expecting someone to stay on the gravy train or not cause any waves, well, you've subscribed to the wrong channel, right? Because the bottom line is I will speak my mind, and the bottom line is I will tell fans how I feel. And I've got to say the majority of fans actually do agree with me on the things that I say. That's why they've stuck around. So, you know, the bottom line is that, you know, I want what's best for Doctor Who. I think deep down we all want what's best for Doctor Who. And that's all I'm here for, is because I want what's best for Doctor Who. And when I get what's best for Doctor Who, then you will see me talk positively about Doctor Who again. Because there is nothing more that I want and other YouTubers out there that cover Doctor Who want, is to talk about this show in a positive light. Like it was talked about during the 50th anniversary. It was all positive. I want to go back to those days, right? I want to go back to those days. And this is why I've been so vocal over the years, and I'll continue to be as this vocal until they do right by the show. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. I will talk to you all very soon. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And thank you to the new people that have subscribed over the last couple of weeks. We're getting a few people here and there, but that's absolutely fantastic. And I will talk to you very soon. You might hear from me later on tonight in a little video, because I like to do little videos. So I'll see you later. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I'll talk to you very soon. As soon as I figure out why this is all gone. Oh, there they are. See, it's gone back to the basic thing now, so it's like it's all weird. Anyway, have a good one, folks. Bye bye. I'm off now to make some chicken rolls. Nice.